All right, so today we're diving into a case that, I gotta say, really shook me up researching it.
Yeah, this one's definitely a tough one, for sure.
Absolutely. It's just, the kind of story you hear and you just can't shake it off. It sticks with you.
I hear that.
So we're talking Adelaide, Australia, seemingly normal family, northern suburbs, the kind of place you wouldn't expect anything like this to happen.
Right.
And yet, a brutal crime shatters this family, a life taken, and the perpetrator. Well, that's what makes this whole thing so disturbing.
Yeah, the fact that it was the victim's own granddaughter, Brittany Dwyer.
Exactly, Brittany Dwyer. And how does that even happen? What leads a young woman to take the life of her own grandfather? It's hard to wrap your head around.
Absolutely, and that's what we're going to try to unpack today, right?
Yeah.
Look into the details of this case, try to understand the why, the how, it's just a tragedy all around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got court records, interviews, news reports, all that, trying to piece together this puzzle, and it's...
For sure, there's a lot of layers here, family dynamics, financial motives, and then you've got the girlfriend, Bernadette Burns, also involved. It's a lot to untangle.
Okay, so let's start with the victim, Robert Whitwell. By all accounts, a kind, loving man, just enjoying his retirement.
Right, and that's what makes this whole thing even more heartbreaking, He was described as someone who'd never argue with anyone, always willing to help.
Yeah, and his own brother Jeffrey said, and this is a direct quote, Robert was the type of person who would do anything for you. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah, that just adds another layer of tragedy to this whole thing, It's hard to fathom how anyone, let alone his own granddaughter, could do something so horrific to him.
And that's where the motive comes in, right? The money, the cold, hard cash.
Yeah, Dwyer and Burns were, after Robert's life savings, over $100,000.
$100,000. Is any amount of money worth taking a life?
Yep.
Especially your own family.
It's hard to imagine, right? But that seems to be the driving force behind this whole thing. Greed, pure and simple.
And it wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment thing, right? They planned this.
Right, absolutely. Premeditation, no question about it.
Burns traveled all the way from Brisbane to Adelaide, not just to visit Dwyer, but to participate in this horrific act.
Yeah, and she waited outside while Dwyer went in and committed murder.
It's chilling. It's it sends chills down your spine.
And the court recognized the severity of their actions. They both received life sentences.
Life sentences, wow.
Yeah, Dwyer got a longer non-parole period, though, 21 years, because of her direct role in the murder, actually stabbing Robert to death.
Stabbing. It's brutal, it's savage, it's hard to even comprehend the level of violence.
It really speaks to the darkness that can reside within the human heart, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And it leaves us with so many questions. What drives someone to this? Was it just greed? Or was there something more, something deeper?
Yeah, could it be resentment, a sense of entitlement? Maybe she felt like she deserved her grandfather's money more than he did?
And what about Burns? What was her role? Was she just a pawn in Dwyer's game?
We may never know the full story, what truly went on in their minds, but the consequences, they're all too real.
A life taken, a family shattered, and two young women spending the rest of their lives behind bars.
It's a tragedy on so many levels, and it leaves us with this lingering question. Could this have been prevented?
Could this have been prevented? That's a tough one. How can we protect ourselves and our families from this kind of betrayal?
Yeah, that's something for all of us to consider, right? How do we build trust and security within our families and recognize the warning signs when things start to go wrong?
It's a sobering thought for sure. This story of Robert Whitwell, it's a stark reminder of the fragility of life, the devastating consequences of greed, and the darkness that can lurk even in the hearts of those closest to us.
Absolutely. And it underscores the importance of communication, understanding, and vigilance within our own families.
Well, that's a heavy note to end on, but an important one nonetheless. Thank you for listening to Justice for the Souls podcast.